Hello there, welcome to the show. Today is a kind of extra. There's going to be two of these. This one, which is going to be the fun movies of the year, and I'm going to do one for next week, which is the best movies of the year, in my opinion. I'm not doing any fancy lighting things or anything, just going to do a basic video. This is, just for fun. Don't take this too seriously. I'm just talking about films I thought were fun that were released this year. You know, recommendations type of thing like that. Things you might want to watch. You may hate them, you may love them. I just thought it'd be fun to just talk about some enjoyable films. These are not the films that made the top of the list or anything, but they're enjoyable. I watched them, enjoyed them. They were good fun. I'd watch them again happily on a Saturday night. You know, they're that kind of film. They're Saturday night films, really. Mostly, you know, or films that had ambitions and never quite made it up to the top, but they're still enjoyable. So there's those films. But before we start on those, I'll go into the worst films of the year. There's only three though, so don't worry. I'm not going to get into any detail. The worst ones are Pacific Rim 2, which is just garbage. It seems to hate the characters from the first one. It seems to hate the first film itself. There's something about this film I just disliked intensely. I mean, I loved the first film. I really adored the first film. I've seen it so many times. This one, awful. It's not going to get the yearly rewatch that the first film gets from me. The first film is just so enjoyable. It was pulp, but it knows it's pulp. But this one was, one of those ones I wouldn't rant or anything, because I could rant easily with that one. Next, Skyscraper. Bloody awful. It had a fortune spent on it. It was lazy as hell. Just avoid it, the plague. I like The Rock. His films are entertaining, but this is terrible. I don't know why he said yes to this film. Because the script was just the most awful thing. It was paced so badly. It was just horrible. It was just one of those films. It was a short film, but it was still a chore to sit through because it was so bad. Okay, the final worst film of the year is the Cloverfield Paradox. It was bloody awful. It was released on Netflix. It was meant to be a cinema release, but they sold it to Netflix, and it's not a surprise because it's terrible. It was that one where it was announced on the date it was released on Netflix, so it made it sound as if it was a big premiere. Then you saw the film, and then it was like, oh my god, this is awful. I mean, it's literally the dumbest film you could ever see. I mean, it's just so dumb. It's like alternate dimensions and horror and sci-fi, but done by people who haven't seen any of these films, don't understand how horror works, how science fiction works, or just how any film works. It's probably the worst film of the year. I mean, Skyscraper and Pacific Rim 2 were annoying because they contempt for the audience. They were just lazy. You know, they were just. They were films that seemed to hate the audience, but this film was actually incompetent. This film was genuinely incompetent, so that's why it's on the list, because I found it excruciating to watch. So those are the three ones that jumped out the worst films of the year. I didn't have that bad a year. I seem to avoid a lot of the stinkers, really. I just avoided them, so that's good, isn't it? I mean, there were some kind of so-so films like Fallen Kingdom, that Jurassic World one, which was like meh, but it was well directed. The script was awful, it was well directed, so they kind of avoided that kind of curse, but these three had nothing going for them. So now we're going to the fun ones then. Since we've had the bad ones, I just don't like talking about bad films very much. It's like kind of boring to talk about. They really just depress you. So okay, I'll just start with the kind of superhero-ish ones, the ones I liked in the superhero genre, which I thought were fun films, but they weren't top level films or anything. First one was Deadpool 2. I like Deadpool 2. Some people love them, some people hate them. I'm more on the love train with the Deadpool films, but I mean, they are what they are. I mean, they're sarcastic, you know, sentimental superhero films with lots of violence. I mean, either you like that or you don't. I mean, it's aimed at teenage boys, or your inner teenage boy. You know, it's fun. You know, they're fun movies. I would recommend Deadpool 2 to see if you see the extended version. It's actually a better version of the film. It's like, I think it's about 10-15 minutes longer, but it actually feels shorter because they put scenes back in that they should have taken out in the first place. The theatrical cut feels a little bit cut down, and the extended version actually feels much more like a proper film, you know, and it's more violence and more action. It just is better paced out, it's better paced, things develop more naturally, so I'd say try and see that if you're going to see Deadpool 2. If you like Deadpool, I do, but they're silly films, they're not apologetic, they're silly films, so you either like it or you don't. Right, next is Ant-Man and the Wasp. It's another one, silly film. There's nothing to these films, you know. I mean, this film, the structure of Ant-Man 2 is very clunky, but it doesn't matter because all the characters like Ant-Man and the Wasp, Hank Pym, all those characters are fun, the villains are fun, everything is just enjoyable, it's silly. I mean, Walton Goggins plays a villain, he's playing him as a comedy character. But it works for this film because none of the stakes are that serious, so it's just enjoyable silliness about a character who can shrink and become giant, and you know, it's a silly idea, so they just go for the comedy. So yeah, it's very enjoyable. I mean, there's really nothing to it though, but if you want a good Saturday night in, Ant-Man and the Wasp is a good one. The final superhero film is Black Panther. I get raved about by lots of people. I never saw why it was so loved. They said, oh, it's the first major black superhero. Well, what about Blade? You know, Blade, there's 3 Blade films that started off the Marvel superheroes in the late 90s. I think Blade counted. That Blade was the important one because when it kind of started with showing how you could do the Marvel characters. So I think the publicity is a bit bullshitty, to be honest. You've also got Steel, which is a film no one's ever wanted to watch. But you know, it's not the first black superhero, it's just the first mega budget black superhero. Because before those films were always kind of medium budget at best. So, but it was enjoyable, but it's very... The story was better than the action, but the action was kind of by the numbers. I mean, the final action scene is the worst bit of the film because it's basically the Phantom Menace. You know, it's at the end of this film is sort of the end of Phantom Menace. You're cut between a bunch of different fights. One thing's in the air trying to take out something important. One thing is a fight between your main fighters in this big steel area. Then there's a fight out in the field between all the 2 armies. It's Phantom Menace, but this one's Black Panther, and it's the ending just as uninvolving as the Phantom Menace ending. You know, until then it's good though. I mean, until then it's really enjoyable. There's the African culture of the show is really interesting. Chadwick Boseman's a fun Black Panther. He's very stoic, but he makes it work. The supporting characters are fun. The villains terrific. Both villains are terrific. It's like when the villains are on screen, you really enjoy it because the villains, like Killmonger, is terrific, and the Suction's villain's terrific. You know, it's almost like the last year Marvel have solved their villain problem by just letting the actors go a little bit more with the villains. So it's still very enjoyable, but there's some repetition. It's one of those films that could have lost 20 minutes and it would have worked better. But a lot of the stuff that works, really works, is like the whole idea of the family dynamics between the hero and the villain, and what the villain wants and what the hero wants. All that's much more complicated than you normally get in a Marvel movie, but it's let down by the action and let down by the need to make Killmonger a villain in the last third. When he had a very rational point of view, then he just jumps up to be a psychopath. And there's always a bit of that in him, but it just jumps a few levels from we have to make sure this guy is a villain, and it's kind of tacky how they do it. So I enjoyed it, but I don't think it's the second coming of superhero movies the way some people seem to think it is, but it's still fun. Yeah, now next we have 2 Spielberg films. The first one is The Post, which is the serious movie about, well, it's meant to be about the 70s, releasing the various Dick and Nixon administration. You know, the Pentagon Papers. But obviously it's a veiled metaphor for Trump and all his legal problems. And it's an enjoyable film, but it's not top level. It's like they're trying to be a really serious film of the day by showing how great the press is. Unfortunately, the press nowadays are weak-willed and, you know, don't have any backbone, and I'm doing that film about when the press had backbone, so it kind of doesn't really work. And Trump and Nixon were two different, really. They're both scummy, but they're scummy in different ways. So that's a problem. And also the film itself is a bit soft. It's really enjoyable. All the supporting actors are great fun. The lead characters are great fun. But Tom Hanks could have been a bit harder as Ben Bradley, who was the editor in charge of the paper that's covering all this. And Meryl Streep plays his publisher. And she's really good, but Tom Hanks could have been a bit more hard-edged as an editor. It just feels like they soften that character a little bit too much in a way that doesn't really work for the film. But it's still enjoyable. It's still a well-made film by a guy who knows what he's doing. So even though you can take pot shots at certain things about it, it's still a really fun set. I mean, it flies by. There's fun dialogue. The interaction between the actors are great. You know, it's just not as serious and hard-hitting as it thinks it is. But it's Spielberg doing a good professional job, and he knows what he's doing in these kind of films. So it's like, it's not going to win any Oscars. It was meant to be, but it wasn't that standard. But it's still really enjoyable. The other one is Ready Player One, which is sort of the same, where it's like it's meant to be one of the big blockbusters made out of a very popular book. It didn't quite deliver. It did well, but didn't deliver the blockbuster status. And if you watch it as a film, it's kind of all over the place. It's set in VR world, but it's set in VR world in a way made by someone who is in his 70s. It's like, it doesn't feel like, it doesn't quite get VR the way it'll actually be. It's this sort of old guy version of VR, and a lot of the references are from 80s movies, because that was based in a book. It was a reference to 80s movies, but I mean, that's part of the idea, is that the society has become blinkered. But I think if they're going to be blinkered and nostalgic, I think the 80s might not be the era that really want to be nostalgic to, because it just shows how shallow the 80s were in a lot of ways. But it's still really enjoyable though, because it's a well-made film, and look, you know, it's well made despite the fact the script is clunky as hell. The script's clunky. The script's really clunky. There's massive plot holes. Like the way it's set, this idea you have to solve all these puzzles. Well, the puzzles are easy to solve, so it's not difficult. Like a well-known thing is, someone pointed out how they solve the first puzzle is something that every gamer does on the first game, because the first game is a racing game, and the way to solve the puzzle is to reverse rather than go forward, which is what everyone does when they're playing a racing game. Everyone's that smart also who does that, and it's like, well, that would have been solved years ago, you know. So that's just silly. A lot of the puzzles are like that. The puzzles are puzzles for someone who's in their 70s. But there's lots of fun stuff. There's lots of references. You get Chucky, you get King Kong, you get all these other characters from popular culture into this mix. But it's so 80s dominated, I don't think it feels off. It feels like it should be dominated by all our culture from like the past all the way up to the present, to give us an idea of why it's nostalgic, and it's a nostalgic for different people for different eras. Because that's the way the world actually works. Some people are nostalgic for the 80s, some people are nostalgic for the 60s. It's like the world's more complicated than everyone nostalgic for the 80s. And that just jumps out. I even watching the film, it's like not everyone would be nostalgic for this era. But despite all, you know, even more flaws than that, and the villain is dumb as hell, but it's still enjoyable because it's well crafted. You know, the action scenes are great fun. There's a shining sequence halfway through, it's great fun. Everything's enjoyable, even though it's kind of silly and just dated, but still a film I'd happily watch again. So that's why it doesn't go any higher, but it's still really enjoyable. Another one that's really dumb is A Wrinkle in Time. This was a hated film this year. This film was hated critically. I mean, just despised. It made some money, but it was the director Anna DuVernay had just made Selma, which was well received, and then she made this, and this is a big budget thing that everyone thought was just overproduced and didn't have a good script. And the script is clunky, and it is a mess, but I just really liked it. It's one of those films, there's always a few films every year that are messy, that are hated, that I like, and this is one of them. I just thought it was very good natured. It was trying to do something that was positive. It was trying to be, you know, have a little girl, black girl character as a lead in an adventure, and that worked for me. I thought it was really nice how it was done. It was trying to have an optimistic view of the universe and try and see things are fascinating. So even though it's very flawed, I still really liked it. So I can't put it up on my top list, but I think it's worth being nice about. I think hopefully it'll be better viewed in the future, but who knows. It could be one of the ones I like and no one else will ever like, but I enjoyed it. Another very flawed and dumb movie is The Meg. I don't really have to say much about The Meg. Meg's stupid. It's genuinely stupid, but it knows it's genuinely stupid. So it's a perfect Saturday night movie. It's a Jason Statham movie, and it's lots of character actors supporting him. And Statham grills through the whole movie, fights a shark, you know, Statham is a giant shark. That's all you really need to know. It's enjoyably dumb, and it made a lot of money, so you'll have a sequel, and I'm happy that it's going to have a sequel, and that's all there is to it. I'm really happy that there's going to be more of these dumb movies, because it was just fun. It was just enjoyable. It was like, it was clunky. Again, it was clunky as hell. A lot of these movies are clunky as hell, script-wise, but I got a lot of joy out of the craftsmanship. Even though it's not a brilliantly crafted film, it's a very blandly directed film, but it's enjoyable. And how the actors interact, and how they work around the limitations of the film they're making. It's one of the cliches that's quite nice to turn on a head. Like, Statham goes to save his ex-wife to get him into the movie, and you expect him to be at loggerhead, and no, they like each other. They just got divorced, they still like each other, and it's like, that's a nice twist. There's lots of things like that work in the film. It's just little moments, like Statham gets on with a little Chinese girl who's the daughter of the female lead, and it's handled nicely. It's not overly sentimental. Those little grace notes work. But even though it's this clunky idea, it still just works. So, and speaking of clunky that works, is Venom. Venom is stupid as hell. Venom might be the stupidest film of the year, like plot-wise. But you have to just ignore the plot and just watch Tom Hardy go as Venom and Eddie Brock. A split personality. They're hilarious. Nothing else works in the film. It's just those two. And basically, Tom Hardy's playing Venom as well. Tom Hardy has Venom's voice. So he's talking to himself for half the movie. So he's having a relationship with himself. And that's what's fun about the movie. It's just watching him play against himself. And the fact he's playing Venom and Eddie Brock means he can make Eddie Brock just laughably inept. I mean, when he first sees Venom, he does a girly scream and falls in the bath. It's just so funny. And whenever Venom's doing stuff, he's horrified by what Venom's doing. He's acting, and then the Tom Hardy over the top chews scenery away, like he's apologising to someone who's getting smashed in the ceiling, and it's just a lot of fun. As long as you know it's stupid. It's just a stupid film. But you'll enjoy watching it a lot. So I recommend it. Don't buy it at full price, but buy it when it's cheaper. You'll get some fun out of it. It's something, you know, cheap and cheesy. Another cheap and cheesy one is Kickboxer Retaliation. Now this is a sequel to Kickboxer something or other. There was one made a few years ago with Dave Bautista. This is a sequel, so the lead guy in this one is the same as the lead guy in the last one. Jean-Claude Van Damme comes back as his trainer. There's a bunch of character actors chewing the scenery in the background. But what's important is the fights are fun. Mike Tyson's in it for like 10 minutes. The fights are just brutal. It takes a lot while to get going, but once it gets going, it becomes a fight scene after a fight scene after a fight scene. That's all it's about, is the fight scenes. They're not the best fight scenes you've ever seen, but they're enjoyable fight scenes. It's one of the fun, cheesy B-movie beat-em-ups of the year. And you'll probably get it for almost nothing on Amazon already. It's been pretty much released to, you know, to be as cheap as possible pretty quickly. I mean, in a year where there's not many like, outstanding Scott Adkins movies, this one kind of is a decent enough replacement until Adkins does his next fun, cheesy B movie like Universal Soldier Day of Reckoning or something like that. I like Scott Adkins movies, they're really enjoyable, cheese. Okay, next is Solo. Solo is the Star Wars prequel that no one went to see. Because no one cared about seeing a Han Solo movie without Harrison Ford. And I only went to see it out of curiosity, because the trailers were terrible. And the directors were replaced after 80% of the film was ready shot. Which told you there's going to be a lot of problems in this film. I think the bad buzz and the terrible trailers and the fact it was released a week after Deadpool 2, and Deadpool 2 was a much more enjoyable film, and it came out about a month after Infinity War, just killed it. I mean, there was just no way it was going to survive all that. And it's an enjoyable enough movie. I mean, but it's not needed, and there's also a problem with the last third of it. There's all these twists upon twists upon twists, which don't really mean a damn. So, you know, the worst part of the film comes at the end, which means when you come out of the film, people say, was it good? You think, it's okay. So you're not jumping in and saying, oh, this sequence and that sequence was great. No, it was like, it was okay, because your last memory is of the Duff stuff. I mean, there are some nice things in it, but there's not one thing that's outstanding in it. It's just enjoyable, but not outstanding. And then the last third just goes to hell. But I still liked it. I mean, it's shot really darkly. I liked Alden Ehrenreich, whatever. I mean, he played a legitimate Han Solo. He felt like he was a young Harrison Ford without trying to ape Harrison Ford. It's like he could run into Harrison Ford's Han Solo. So that was a shame that he get caught up in his film bombing so badly, because he did a good job, but those are the breaks really. But it's still worth seeing. It's just, it's sort of like Ready Player One. It's a mess made by an older director who doesn't quite understand what the film he should be making, but they do a good job of it anyway. So it's like an old fogey film, really. It just does feel that way, like it's made for an older generation, made in that sensibility, which means I enjoyed it as a like old-fashioned throwback. But it feels like a film influenced by those 60s movies, those 60s World War II movies, where you have a couple of plucky characters who are going to do a robbery in World War II in a war zone to have some money after the war. That's what that kind of film this feels like. And it's enjoyable in the same way something like Kelly's Heroes is, where it's not that good, it's generally not that good, but it's still kind of enjoyable and you can see yourself watched every so often. That's Solo, you know. So I mean, I still like to burn Force Awakens. You know. But yeah, it was enjoyable though, despite everything I've said about it. It's really enjoyable. And Ron Howard did do a good job coming in the last minute and saving the bloody film. You know, he's not always a director I like, but he did a good job in this one, trying to recover a disaster and making something really enjoyably watchable, even if it's a bit retro. Okay, up next is oops, I'm just looking at my list here, trying to find it. I've got a list, so I'm just going back and round about what I want to talk about next. So I'm really planning ahead beautifully. Okay, I'll talk about Mogwai next. Well, Mogwai. It's a Jungle Book movie put in Netflix. Andy Serkis directed it. It's just up. I watched it. It's really enjoyable. It's because I just saw it recently, I can't put it straight at my top level. But I think I'm going to really enjoy it more. See, I think it's one of those films I'm going to watch again quite a few times because it's really well made. It's a lot darker than the Jungle Book that Jon Favreau made. And I think it's got a better story because it's about Mogwai trying to learn from the animals, then learn the human beings, because he goes to the human village and deals with them as well, then comes back to the animals. And it feels like it's a much more epic story. And the characterization is darker. In some ways it works better than Jungle Book, in other ways it doesn't, but they're two different films. So there's bits I like in Jungle Book better and bits I like this better. But I thought this is a stronger story, but I thought Jungle Book had a better lead actor, who is a bit more expressive and a bit more enjoyable. This one's a bit moodier. I think the kid's accent went a bit posh sometimes, but it's still good, but I liked the other kid better. But I like Christian Bale as the protector, you know, character a lot more in this one, because he was really good, because he's an animal, he's obviously an animal, and he feels very, he cares about the kid, but he's still an animal. It's like a complicated character using motion capture. So yeah, this is the film, this is a motion capture film where Andy Serkis does not give the best motion capture performance, even though he directed it. It's Christian Bale who does the best performance. Andy Serkis is Baloo, the bear. He's good, but Bill Murray I thought was more interesting. I mean, to be honest, Bill Murray and what he do, I mean, the funny thing is Andy Serkis actually cut himself down a little bit and gave Christian Bale most of that stuff, so that actually worked. So he actually, as a director, he was another actor. So, and it worked. Now it was balanced right for the film. And the whole film just felt balanced right. It was just one of those films that was really enjoyable. Even though some of the effects weren't as good as Jungle Books, I think it had less money. It was still really a great atmosphere to it, and I just really liked it. It's definitely worth seeing. I mean, it is flawed, but it's flawed in good ways, where it's like it's part of the charm of the movie, and I think it's one of those films that will look good in a few years once we're over the comparison, just start watching it as a film in itself, because it's really strong and really interesting. So, but that's probably one of the best of this list, is Mogwai, but I've only seen it once, so very recently, so I can't really see much more. But I know that I like it more than most people do, so I'm one of the champions of that one. A weekend. Right, next is A Quiet Place. It's a good film. It's enjoyable. It's not scary though. It's like I kept on told it was terrifying. Then I eventually saw it in TV. Maybe in the cinema it was different, but the setup I just didn't find the monsters scary. I liked the idea of no sound, but I just didn't like the monsters. I just thought it was too physical. And especially if you see something like David Lynch, if he uses sound and visuals and he uses abstraction more, and it's more terrifying. In this one, we didn't see anything. The atmosphere was terrific, and the characters, all the characters were great, and their interactions were terrific. And then when the monsters turned up, it was like, oh god, it's monsters. They just weren't as scary as the rest of the situation. The situation was better than the monsters. So that was a downside for me for that film, was I liked the characters more than I liked the monsters. But it was well directed. John Krasinski acted in it and directed it. It was well done. I would like to do a sequel to this one. I think you could do more with it. I just didn't like the monsters. And I'm a monster movie guy, so I just felt I'd seen the monsters before, about 3 or 4 times, and they weren't unique, and there wasn't anything to them, and how they were defeated was okay, but it was like, it was just something from a monster movie. You'd seen this type of thing. You could see this type of thing in the 60s, which is good and bad, because it's like, it's a very classical movie, and it's really enjoyable that way. But there was no twist, no really clever twist. So that's my criticism of that one. Next is Peter Rabbit. Peter Rabbit's fun. It's just, I didn't expect to like it very much, but because the trailers were really obnoxious, they were just annoying, and it was like, I don't want to watch this. So I saw it on TV later, and it's really enjoyable. I mean, it's like it's so cartoonish. It's a fight between a rabbit and a repressed, stuffed up English guy on a farm. Like, it's very childish and it's very cartoonish, and it's like very Looney Tune-ish, which is all good for me, Brendan Gleeson gives a really over-the-top performance, but it was really enjoyable because you like him even though he's an idiot for half the film, but it's still enjoyable because he really goes for it. Rose Byrne plays his love interest, but she's fun and eccentric. Like, she's watched a ton of weird eccentric performances and thought, I'm going there with this one. You know, everyone's enjoyable. The animated rabbits are good because they're done in a good way of animation where it's character rather than show off how clever we can be with the CGI. It's not. It's about the characters, what the characters do. Everyone's about what the characters are doing rather than trying to be the most pristine, lovely CGI. So it's a nice rough and ready quality to it, but it still looks good. So it's nice and throwaway. The animation's throwaway, so you forget about it. It's just like those are the characters. Let's go with it. And the whole film is just fun. I mean, it's very fast. It doesn't feel like it's a very long film at all. When it gets to the point, it's always moving from point A to point B to point C. It never stops and lets you get bored. So that's enjoyable. So there's not much to say about this one. It's just enjoyable. It's like a cartoon. It's a live action cartoon, but done well. That's all it is. So more comedies now. Game Night. It's another very cartoonish one about a game night situation where people get together and play games. Then the brother says, I'm going to do a different type of game with you, and it's meant to be a game where you go around the city and find clues, and turns out the brother's kidnapped for real because he's a bit of a crook, and the people doing the game don't know that, and they think some of these dangerous things are part of the game still. That sounds really silly, I know, but the cast make it work, and it's well written, and it's played perfectly. Everything just works about it. It's all about the characters in these situations rather than having to try and be like having like crude gags or anything. It's just about how the characters react, and that's what really works about it, because they set everyone up really quickly and then you see them evolve throughout the film. I don't want to see much, I don't want to give away anything too much, but it's really worth seeing. It's really enjoyable. But try and avoid seeing trailers or anything. Just try and watch it when you have a chance to watch it. Okay, the next one's Blockers. That's another comedy. And it's another silly, enjoyable comedy. This time it's about three parents who find out that their three daughters who have now graduated are going to try and lose their virginity on a graduation party that night. And all three react badly to it in different ways. And they all decide they're going to try and block them from getting laid. And that's the film. That's all it is. But again, because the characters are well defined, and they're, you know, they're sympathetic without being sentimentalised. They're all very flawed characters, and you find that the daughters are very mature for their age, and they don't know their own agency. They don't know what they're doing. So it's a fun poke at the parents, how paranoid the parents are. It's just enjoyable. It's an enjoyable film. It's really well done. Again, it's fairly short. It gets to the point. It delivers on what it should be delivering. It's enjoyable. It's like there's not much you can say about it because it's just enjoyable entertainment. It's just done well, you know. And you should really be happy because most films like this are not done well. There's been a few this year that comedies in this way have been done well. The final kind of comedy in this kind of area is Tag, which is the broadest of these films. It's probably the least well made of these films, and it was the least well reviewed, but still really enjoyable. They have a good cast. Basically, these kids who grow up playing tag, and even the adults that play tag to each other 1 month a year, you're it, and they try and get each other to work, try and get where people are not paying attention, and so they play tag every year and have fun. It's a way to keep them together. But also they're trying to they find out the guy they've never gotten before, Jerry, who's Jerry Moreno plays, is going to retire this year unbeaten because he's getting married. So they're going to get him they're going to tag him before he quits. That's the whole movie. It's such a childish idea, but it works because these characters are all obsessive enough. It's all based on the jealousy of this guy who seems to have it all together and they're all screwed up in their lives, and they're going to get him. They're obsessed about it, and some are more obsessed than others, and it's really silly, but it's enjoyable, you know. So again, I'm not going to say much. Comedy is based on not knowing what's going to come next, so give it a shot. It's worth seeing. Okay, there's two left. There's Mum and Dad. These are kind of more satirical comedies. These are stuff in their mind. Mum and Dad, Nicolas Cage, Selma Blair, play parents who are like irritated by their children, who are trying on with their careers, who are very frustrated. They're the typical suburban family. They've got two kids, one boy, one girl. The kids don't get on each other very well because they're kids and one's older than the other and they're fighting. And then something happens in the world and all the parents start trying to kill their children. So the first half is you're seeing the frustrations of these parents, and the second half you see them try to murder their children. So the two kids who are at each other's throats, they have to come together to save themselves from their parents. And that's it. That's all it is. But it's wonderfully, you know, it just takes a taboo and just goes for it. And it allows the first half, Selma Blair and Nicolas Cage, to be like, not realistic, bit broad, but sympathetic. And then the second half, they're monsters who are just trying to kill their children. And Nicolas Cage plays this guy who's gotten more and more henpecked as he goes along in life. And he's very frustrated by it, and he really plays it up that in fact his wife is better at most things than he is. And he really goes for it. I mean, there's no element of, I feel threatened by this idea. No, he just goes for it. Yep, he's henpecked and he's pissed off, and it's hilarious. This is one, I mean, it's another Nicolas Cage on my big list coming next week. This is really having a lot of fun, and all the actors are fun. It's just enjoyable. It's an enjoyable black comedy about how children and parents can sometimes hate each other. It's good to see. It gets a lot of your system watching it. The final one is Sorry to Bother You, which got a lot of praise this year. I've seen it. It's enjoyable. I don't think it's as clever as they say it is. I mean, it's about a black guy who gets a job in telemarketing, and you know, his life's a mess when they start the movie. He gets a job in telemarketing. Turns out he's good at it because he puts on his white voice, so it's very soothing to white people and it makes them buy stuff from him. And then you see him travel up the corporate ladder, and as he starts to meet the bosses and see what they're about, and it turns out they've got nefarious plans to replace workers with animals. You know, it's one of those films that's enjoyable, but it's just not as clever as it thinks it is. I mean, I can compare it to They Live, which is really on the knuckle about how homeless are treated by the rich. This one feels kind of a bit broader and not quite as clear, because it's just saying the rich are trying to make the poor basically slaves again. And it's a good idea, but I don't think it nails it as well as it could. It just feels like it needed another draft just to hit home with certain things and just try and clarify certain things, or just kind of tone it down to the essence. I feel the film is almost there. It's just, it could have been there, but it never quite made it. But it's still enjoyable. It's still an interesting film. It's worth seeing, but it's not quite as good as the praise suggests. It just needed a little bit more work in the script, but it's still enjoyable. Well, I hope you enjoyed this. I just thought I would talk about films that were enjoyable for different reasons that aren't the best of the year in any way. So this is a throwaway video. I mean, it's not meant to be very serious. I thought I'd just talk about these movies because I'll probably never talk about them again, you know, because they're not films. As you can see, I'm struggling talking about some of them because there's not much to them. They're just enjoyable, so I'm just trying to say these are fun to watch. But a lot of them are just Saturday night movies. They're movies to watch with a beer and just enjoy yourself. They're not serious, but they're worth a view. So I hope you enjoyed that. I'll have some videos next week, and then I'll end the week with the best of the year, which again should not be taken seriously. It's just one of the films I liked this year. But I'm going to do it like this. I'm not going to try and, there's going to be no likes or anything. I'm just going to try and do a fun video and not be too serious about it. Well, I'll speak to you later then. Okay, bye.